On Trek Tuesday, Armin Shimerman, with a cause that's very important to him. Plus, we talk Ferengi as well. This is Exploring Humanity through Sci-Fi. This rebrand is part of my mission so that we better understand ourselves better through sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and comics as our mode of exploration. Each November, I focus on pancreatic cancer and those that it has afflicted, how we can also drive more awareness to someday eradicate this disease. It hit my family personally. My wife's aunt passed away from that dreaded disease. I chatted a few years ago with Armin Shimerman as it hit very close to him. And yes, we talked Star Trek too, as I mentioned earlier. Before we really start, how's your wife, Kitty, doing?
My wife is doing very fine, thank you. For everyone who knows about pancreatic cancer, she is a pancreatic cancer survivor. It's been 17 years since she was diagnosed, which is extraordinary. It's miraculous, and we're very grateful for the doctors and for the fates that gave her that.
Yeah. As I mentioned before we started, that cancer has touched my family. My grandfather died of cancer. He actually smoked cigars. He ended up getting cancer of the mouth. So yes, cigars can cause cancer, folks. So be careful. Obviously, that's why you became involved. But tell us a little bit more about this event, Trek versus pancreatic cancer.
Sure. Kitty became a spokesman. My wife is named Kitty, Kitty Swink. My wife became a spokesman for PanCan, which is a great, great organization, which I know we'll talk about in a moment. She fell in love with them and they fell in love with her. And they asked us to do what we could. Let me include the name of Jonathan Frakes.
Yes.
Who's also a Star Trek actor whose brother, unfortunately, passed away from pancreatic cancer. So Kitty knew that. I knew that. We asked Jonathan to join us. And the three of us have formed this Star Trek Against Pancreatic Cancer team for PanCan, which is the organization we're here talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing all we can because, as I said earlier, my wife is enormously lucky. Not everyone is as lucky, and we want to help people as much as we can. By raising money, we can fund research in order to try to drive this cancer away, to drive all cancers away, and that's why we're here.
More with Armin Shimerman in a moment. Yeah. Exactly what is the event that's going to happen? Is it just a fundraising or is it some kind of appearance or what is it exactly, Armin?
There will be appearances by many team captains and certainly the people who are marching as well. I believe there's about 70,000 marchers in 60 cities around the country. They're just celebrants. All these people have been touched by cancer and perhaps by pancreatic cancer, certainly.
Yeah.
But it is called Purple Stride, and it's a way of raising funds. We hope to raise about $16.5 million in order to fund the research that goes into curing this cancer. Unfortunately, at this time, pancreatic cancer is, I think, the third most major cancer around. It's quite a killer. And unfortunately, also, the numbers have risen as far as how many people it's taking. The good thing also is the numbers of survivors have also risen. So because of the work that PanCan and Purple Stride are doing, people are surviving and people are getting help. And that's really important.
That is very, very important. And yourself personally, are you going to be involved in any of those events or Jonathan?
I'm out of town. Normally, I would be marching with the marchers. This is a march, by the way, April the 30th. And people will march in the various cities to promote this. Normally, I would be marching with my wife in Los Angeles. But unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I'm in Kansas City right now doing a play and will not be able to march with my wife. But I hope very much to team up with the Kansas City chapter and march with them on April the 30th.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. Yeah, I think what's important is it's a nationwide event. It's not confined to one particular city.
Exactly. Cancer touches everybody around the world.
It sure does.
It shouldn't be confined to just one city or one state or even one country. We have to eradicate cancer, if not in our lifetimes, then in our children's lifetimes or our grandchildren's lifetimes. And the way to do this is to help various organizations. I'm advocating for PanCan.
Mm-hmm. Now, as far as treatment? Is PanCam leading the way kind of in research? And is there also any kind of treatment that's been working that PanCam does right now?
Well, I don't know the specific treatments. I do know the survival rate is getting better. So there are treatments. And one of the good things that PanCan has been advocating is that for doctors to talk together. So it isn't just one doctor here and one doctor there treating various patients. What PanCan does is bring all the knowledge together. Mm-hmm. They, as I said before, they're raising money to find cures and remedies for this. It's not a pleasant cancer to go through. And unfortunately, usually when the symptoms show up for this cancer, it's rather too late.
Oh,
you
wow.
don't get the symptoms until really late stage, unless you're lucky. And there are people who are lucky. My wife was one of those lucky people who happened to get an early sign that a doctor recognized, maybe we should check into this. And because of that expertise of the doctor, we still have her.
Yeah, yeah. So is there a test you can take or that your doctor can recommend to just as a normal routine thing?
I imagine there are. I'm not a doctor. I don't even play them on TV. I imagine there are. I do know that if you have cancer in your family, there is a test to take, and forgive me, I don't remember the name of the test.
Sure.
That to see if there are cancer markers that you have that you may pass on to your children or your grandchildren. So that test is available, and I recommend to everyone who has cancer in their family that they do that to know what they should look out for and what their family should look out for.
Yeah. How long has PanCam been in existence?
I don't know. That's a very good question. I really don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Okay. Well, it's great that they are, though. That's the most important thing right now.
And what I haven't mentioned as well is it's not just about looking for research. It's also about support.
Yes.
If you go to www.pancan.org, you can find people who can help you through this. I spoke with a person yesterday, a caregiver for a person who had for her boyfriend who has pancreatic cancer. Oh. And she was very grateful for the advice that I gave her. And I told her, you should call PanCam because they know so much more than I do, and they'll be able to help you. They'll be able to guide you. They'll be able to tell you where to go. They may even recommend doctors to you if you haven't found a doctor yet.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's a great support group, as well as a research facility.
Hey, that's fantastic. Yeah, everybody needs support, especially those that don't have it. I think it's great to get that.
It's very scary to be diagnosed or to have a loved one diagnosed with this and not knowing where to start. Go to PanCan. They'll tell you where to start.
Hey, that's fantastic. I got to ask you about Star Trek a little bit.
Sure.
But I got to be honest with you. And I actually talked to Herbert Wright years ago because he created the Ferengi. But when I first saw The Last Outpost, I was like, that's the new villains on Star Trek? I don't know.
Yeah, I felt the same way, and I was there.
Yeah, I know.
I've been apologizing for that performance for 25 years. It wasn't very good, and I blame it mostly on myself. There may have been people who helped make it not so good, but that's what I said. These are the new villains? No. Really, my work on Deep Space Nine, which was after that particular episode on Next Generation, was my attempt to rectify the Ferengi and make them a little bit more than a little bit three-dimensional.
Sci-Fi Talk returns in a moment.
After seeing Quark, I said, oh, wait a minute. There's more to this guy than just on the surface and Prophet and Latinum. And just the way you developed him over the years and the writers hooked into your talents. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm on board with them now because of Quark.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Many people may not agree with me, but I always thought that Quark and the Ferengi were the most human of characters on Star Trek. They suffered from foibles, absolutely. But they also had fortes as well. And that mix, I think, made them more human than some of the other people. Not just the aliens, but the humans as well.
I also liked that he was like my anchor. It's like everything could be going around it with other Ferengi and all the different things that happened. But it was like Quark kind of centered it for me. He was like, oh, okay, well, Quark is there. So I can kind of get into the other stuff too. But I know he's there. I know what he's made of. And I'm going to go along with the rest of the story because of him.
Well, thank you. Thank you. The trick to creating a three-dimensional character is to have a great deal of reality about you. And so thanks to the writers, thanks to the directors, thanks to the designers, thanks to the other actors, I was able to always find that reality, play that reality, and maybe that attracted you because those original Ferengi were not real, and they were rather one-dimensional. And once again, I apologize for that performance.
The only thing I miss is that those things that they would fling out. Those
disappeared after that episode. They never used those again. They gave me the foam rubber painted blue and said, "Make it look lethal." And I went, "You got to be kidding." And we did our best, and then they put us in costumes that were laughable, and the makeup itself is laughable. And so that didn't help either. So what we tried to do, the core Ferengi group, we tried to make them as real and as human and as sympathetic as we possibly could.
If I have a favorite, I have to say Little Green Man was a great episode. That was a lot of fun to watch.
Thank you. It was a great fun to do as well. And it's the only episode I think that I know of where the Ferengi speak Ferengi.
Yes, that's right.
Which we made up on the spot as the camera was rolling.
Get out. That's funny.
Yeah.
There's something that's a phenomenon that's happened with Deep Space Nine that didn't happen when it was on the air, kind of like the original Trek, but because of the world of streaming, people are discovering the show for the first time, and it's become super popular again. And all the great work all of you have done is just reaching a whole new audience. And I think that's terrific.
I am very glad to hear that, because when we were first shooting and first airing the program, we had a lot of detractors. A lot of people didn't like it because we didn't have a ship. We didn't go anywhere. What kind of Star Trek is that? And we had a lot of detractors. There's an overblown story about the Nah Visitor and I talking, and I'm saying, wait a decade or so. People will see what the good writing is, what the good acting is, and they'll come on board. It may not be now, but it may be later. And this is later, and I'm glad to hear that that's happening.
More with Armin Shimerman in a moment. Well, another thing, too, is because we had to wait a week back in the day, and I know I watched them on the air. You had to wait a week. If it was a two-parter, it was like, oh, no. But because of streaming, you could binge. And that's another reason why people can, I mean, you start one and next thing you know, you're in season 3 before you can blink. So
right. One of the things that I'm not sure that we started, we certainly helped push, was linear stories that expanded beyond one episode. The original Star Trek Next Generation were all about saving a world in 45 minutes. And then you moved on to another world. We told long form stories so that you had to stick with us for a number of episodes. And I'm sorry you had to wait a week. So did we. We had to get a script every 8 days. And that, because of streaming, it's easier to watch, because you're right. Oh, I watched that one. Let's watch another one. It's only 10 o'clock. Let's watch a third one. And you can do that with streaming, which you couldn't do when we were originally shooting the show.
And big screen TVs doesn't hurt either. It's great to see the station up there.
The makeup, at least mine, holds up pretty well. And that's a tribute to my makeup artist, Karen Westerfield.
Oh, they just did everything right on that show. And to me, it's the most diverse Star Trek show ever done. Maybe until Discovery anyway, but it really had a lot of diversity.
Yes, it did. And it made it expensive as well, because Michael Westmore, who was the creator of all those aliens and makeup, he had to come up with something every week. Bob Blackman, the costume designer, had to come up with clothes for a new world every week. I suppose you had to do that on TNG as well, but we had more aliens on Deep Space Nine than they had on Next Generation.
And certainly Quark had quite a wardrobe too.
Yes, I was quite fashion plate on the show. Bob used to say I was his favorite character to design for, and they were warm. They were warm clothes, but they were very pretty, and I was very striking in those tails and vests and things.
As an actor, you kind of get used to your space. I mean, your stage was the bar, really. And did you actually know where everything was in the bar? No.
I knew where my trailer was. That was the important thing. No, and they changed things. The bottles changed from time to time. The basic set was always the same, although even the set changed a little. We had an upper floor in the first season, perhaps the first two seasons, which they got rid of after that because they weren't using it.
Yeah.
And the walls moved so that the configuration also changed. I didn't know where everything was, but it was very comfortable for me. The whole set, one of the great joys of working on Deep Space Nine was that normally when you do a TV show, sets are subdivided on a big sound stage. So they don't really connect. They're just little modules and they sit right next to each other. But on Deep Space Nine, the promenade, as you saw it on the screen, is the way it existed on Soundstage 7. Wow. So that when you walked in, you were on the north side of the promenade. And as you progressed south, you got to the south side of the promenade. And there was no subdivision. It was exactly the way you saw it. As opposed to, and no criticism, as opposed to, again, Next Generation. Medical center is a little cubicle sitting next to the bridge and they don't connect. They're just modules. It was a little like being in Disneyland. And I remember my first day of work, I was overawed by that set because it was so huge and so continuous and so alien and such an adventure to explore.
Mm. Well, we've seen Ferengi on Discovery. I don't think we would see them without Quark, honestly, but have you seen the new makeup on them?
I haven't. I've seen comments about that. I haven't really seen it, but I did get a glimpse of one once, and it looks better. It's less comical. But I do remember an episode that we did on Deep Space Nine called Trouble with Tribbles.
Oh, yeah.
And where they immersed our characters into the original Star Trek episode. And one of my favorite lines ever on Star Trek is someone turns to Worf and said, "How come you guys look very different than those guys?" And Worf says, "We don't like to talk about it." So if they've changed the Ferengi episode, the Ferengi facade, I'm more than happy. And we'll talk about it once I get to know more about it.
Well, it's funny because Enterprise did an episode to explain what happened with the Klingons. So yeah, it was a disease, believe it or not. So it was, and they had to infuse them with human DNA, and that's why they looked human for a while.
I see. Yeah. Well, it certainly made it easier for Michael Dorn to play Worf. Absolutely.
Yes, it did. It certainly did. Great to talk to you about this. I mean, it's such a great cause. And before we go, you're doing a play. Can you talk about what you're doing? And
sure. It's been a huge success in England and in New York. It's played on Broadway and off Broadway. It's called The Play That Goes Wrong.
Oh yeah.
And we are doing it in Kansas City at a wonderful theater called the New Theater and Restaurant. Great cast. If anyone is in the Kansas City area, I recommend it highly to you. We had a run through today. It's very funny. The set is a real character in the show. If you've seen the play, you know all the things that do go wrong. We're very proud of the production so far. We don't open until April the 15th. We play until July the 3rd. So again, if you're in the area, and thank you for asking, please do come.
Yeah, that's a funny play, and
it's a very funny play.
And it's great to flex those muscles that you're doing.
I've always been a theater actor. Most Star Trek actors have a theater background.
Right.
And most of us have a classical theater background. But all of us have our heart in the theater. And though we made our Latinum in TV, we'd like to go back to the stage because really the stage is where an actor blossoms the most. You're not up to the whims of an editor or a director. You do what you do in front of a group of people, and it's an immediate response. You don't have to wait a week to see the show. And we, the actors, know immediately how the audience is responding. And in this show, I'm quite sure that we will get reams and reams of laughter because that's what's happened in New York and in London. And
Before I just remembered something. I have to ask her. My wife will kill me if I don't.
Well,
but she is a huge Buffy fan, and of course, you were the principal on Buffy, and she loved your performance, and she goes, "He died." It's like,
Well, they were graduating from high school, and I knew that Snyder wasn't going to last after that. I did ask I said, you're going to kill me, I assume. So I'm asking for a certain way to go. And they gave me that. The previous principal, whose name was Flutie, Kenny played that. And I said, if Kenny was eaten, then I want to be eaten as well. And I was very glad that they gave it to me. For those who are interested in this, I was doing Star Trek and Buffy at exactly the same time.
Wow.
So on the days that I wasn't on the Paramount lot, I was in Torrance or Santa Monica shooting Buffy. And for those of you who know both those characters, I hope you can see the difference. I hope you can see that they were night and day. They were radically different. One was a people lover, one was a people hater.
Absolutely. Well, great. And, Star Trek versus cancer, pancreatic cancer, a very important cause. And certainly, and what was that website again? If you can give that to the folks.
Please. You can go to, there's two websites I'm going to give you. One is www.pancan, PANCAN, pancreaticcancer.org. That's the primary organization. You can also go to www.purple stride. Let me see if it's org or com. Org.
It is org.
Purple, PURPLESTRIDE.org, which is the fundraising group the march is on April the 30th, and we're raising money for that. But if you need help, which is really more important, if you need support, if you need where to go, if you want to know more about what this organization is doing, do go to pancan.org.
Okay, great. Thank you. And of course, you can donate as well, even if you can't march. That's important.
Yes, right. And in fact, if you go to pancan.org, you can donate to the Star Trek Against Pancreatic Cancer Fund. There are 3 team captains on that team: myself, my wife, Kitty Swink, and Jonathan Frakes. If you want to give the one, fine. If you want to give to all 3, even better. Do give, because people's lives are at stake. And we're trying to make sure that this disease is eradicated. We don't want anyone to suffer the way Jonathan Frakes' brother suffered, nor do we want anyone to suffer the way my wife suffered, but managed to survive.
Yeah, I'm sure there were some very grueling years with her, and a credit to her. Obviously, she's a fighter to get to where she is today, and some aren't so lucky, unfortunately. So we have to remember that. Thank you again. Fine actor, my favorite Ferengi for sure, and a class actor, and my wife's favorite principal, of course, on Buffy. She's like in the background.
Yeah, tell her, then I will give her an A+ for that.
He gives you an A+, so there you go. All right. Thanks so much for listening to Trek Tuesday. I'm Tony Tillotto.